Hi, I'm Steven, and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Gabrielle, and I'm a level 2 chef.
My name is Penny, and I've been a professional chef for 15 years.
I hate traditional frosting, so I went with a cream cheese frosting, and this makes cupcakes very bearable for me.
I love cupcakes because I think they're a blank canvas. Today I'm going to be adding espresso to mine.
I chose to make a cupcake inspired by a pina colada because every time I have a pina colada, it makes me feel like I'm on vacation.
We're gonna jump right in and start the batter. Grab your butter, and we're gonna just plop that into the bowl, and we're gonna put our mixer onto about medium, and we're gonna start moving that around like so.
All right, so I'm going to start with my dry ingredients. They're all going to go into my mixer right now.
In the sifter, I have all-purpose flour, salt, and baking powder.
Baking powder, baking soda, your essentials.
And I'm gonna sift that together.
Dutch cocoa powder. It's going to give our cupcake a really nice chocolatey velvet flavor.
And then we're gonna add our sugar to the mix.
Brown sugar.
Add all of my sugar now.
A lot of sugar.
Now we're going to go to our wet ingredients. This is where the magic starts to happen. I love using recipes with buttermilk because they kind of counterbalance all the sugar that you're using.
I like to zest my citrus directly into the bowl that I'm gonna cream my butter and sugar in. The abrasiveness from the sugar will beat out the oils from the lime zest, and I'm gonna get more flavor out of it that way.
Pour in our vegetable oil, vanilla, and crack some eggs.
Oh, that's not gonna be good. Yay.
I'm going to separate the egg yolk from the egg white.
Next, we're gonna add our flour to the mix. Vanilla extract, baking powder, a little bit of salt, and then we're gonna do the milk.
I'm gonna go ahead and pour this little by little into our dry ingredients.
Okay, so now we're gonna start the creaming process. And I'm gonna do this for a while, much longer than most people generally think you cream things.
See, this is why machines can't take the jobs of humans. Sometimes you just need that human touch, that human element.
It's one of the secrets to this recipe. It's a coconut cake. I really overemphasize the coconut flavor. So we start with a really high quality canned coconut milk that's gonna give us a lot of coconut fat and a lot of richness. And just for a little extra added bump, we add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of coconut extract.
The most important ingredient is our espresso. I like to incorporate all these ingredients first and then add in my espresso, which is so adorably in this mocha pot.
So I'm gonna start to add my eggs, and I'm gonna add them as much as possibly one at a time. And the last thing that I'm gonna add is the shredded sweetened coconut.
The milk is going everywhere.
Baking's always messy, which is why I think it's so fun.
I was completely ill-prepared for this.
Kind of is like a chocolate mocha bomb, which it definitely looks like that's what happened here. So just like the Italians do it.
All done.
I like to use plain white cupcake liners because I like to let the cupcake itself shine through.
I really like using recycled material liners. I think they give them a really pretty natural look, plus they're great for the environment.
If you can find the yellow-handed scoop, it's the perfect amount for a standard size cupcake tin.
Basically gonna fill them up 2/3 of the way because the batter's definitely gonna rise a lot when it's in the oven.
If you're gonna do something like use a spoon, you're gonna end up with different amounts of batter. Some of them might be more brown and burnt by the time the other ones are completely baked.
So you can eyeball it. Just like a caterpillar, this batter will turn into something new.
All right, so we're gonna put these in the oven at 350 degrees for a little over 15 minutes.
At about 375 for 20 minutes.
We're gonna bake them at about 350 degrees for somewhere between 19 and 25 minutes.
Let's go. I hate traditional frosting, so I went with a cream cheese frosting in lieu of the traditional conventional. I don't know what they use in it, but I hate it.
So for my pina colada cupcakes, key ingredients are obviously rum. But aside from that, pineapple. So I'm gonna start by chopping off the head of this, then the tail, then into strips, into a fine dice. The split vanilla bean, I'm gonna dot it with some butter, and I'm gonna sprinkle some sugar over the top. And this is ready for the oven.
All right, so to keep the chocolate espresso train rolling, a chocolate espresso buttercream. Very fitting. I'm gonna go ahead and get started by just basically putting these giant 2 sticks of butter into your mixer. Again, we're gonna use our Dutch cocoa powder. Sifting it is gonna take out any clumps or lumps, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with my confectioner sugar. So you can see how chunky this would have been if I didn't sift it.
And that's our roasted pineapple. And I'm going to turn it into a puree that I can use later to add to my frosting. And now I'm gonna add even more pineapple flavor by using dehydrated fruit. They really concentrate out the flavor, the pure essence of the fruit. Beautiful. This is an Italian meringue buttercream, so we're gonna cook our sugar and then we're gonna drizzle it into the mixer while our egg whites are whipping. I'm gonna start with some sugar, some water that I'm gonna pour around the sides of the pot. And we're gonna go pretty high. I'm gonna whip these now over medium speed. It comes up to a boil and I start whipping. As this starts to get a little bit foamy, I'm gonna sprinkle in my second amount of sugar. By adding some of the granulated sugar directly to the egg whites, you get a more stable meringue.
We're gonna get started with the cream cheese, which we will place in the bowl first, and then we will put this on a medium spin and whip it like so. Put the butter in, salt. It seems more manageable at low, so I'm just gonna keep it low for now, low key. Low profile.
Now I'm gonna make a dulce de leche, which we're gonna use later on to fill the inside of the cupcake. I'm gonna use the sous vide. This is a great way to do it because it keeps the water at a constant temperature and I can just put this in here and walk away and forget it for a really long time, and it has no risk of burning. To give it a little extra flavor, I'm gonna add yet one more vanilla bean. So in the bag, I placed 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, my vanilla bean that's been scraped. I'm gonna place this into the vacuum sealer. I'm gonna drop my bag of sweetened condensed milk and vanilla into here. So we're gonna cook this for between 9 to 12 hours until we get the dark caramel color that I'm looking for.
Okay, so I'm gonna add in my heavy cream now. The espresso, a little vanilla, a little bit of instant espresso powder. We want to basically give you a giant caffeine kick when you're eating these cupcakes.
We're gonna add our powdered sugar. Patience.
So our meringue is cool enough and I'm gonna start to add the butter. While the butter is still beating in, I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt, the scraped vanilla bean, pineapple puree that I made earlier, as well as most of that pineapple powder. And because this is a boozy cupcake, it needs some booze in the buttercream, and this is rum.
We're gonna add the vanilla extract. So you wanna add each ingredient in stages. It's all about balance. I think it is ready.
So this is the piece of pineapple that I had reserved from before. I'm gonna cut out the core, sprinkle the top with sugar, and I'm gonna torch these. These are gonna become the final piece of garnish for the top of our cake, similar to the way you'd find a piece of pineapple on the side of the glass for your pina colada.
The texture has already changed quite a bit since adding in the rest of the ingredients. It's now a lot fluffier, it's a lot creamier. I think it's about ready to go on top of our cupcakes.
We're ready to decorate our cupcakes. I'm gonna fill our piping bags with our pineapple buttercream. This is our completed dulce de leche that was in the immersion circulator for 12 hours.
I am not a fancy schmancy gal, but I do like to put a little bit of pizzazz on my cupcake, so I'm just gonna put some of this here buttercream into this bag. I think we all see where I'm going with this.
So now I will use my trusty spoon to get the icing on my cupcake. And you wanna really lather it on a little bit more. That looks professionally done.
Into the center, I'm gonna pipe my delicious dulce de leche, and then on top of that, buttercream. I made these cherries in advance. They're soaked in rum and Aperol and some sugar, some vanilla bean, yep, more vanilla bean. And I soaked them for 4 days to make them super, super boozy and complete our rummy cocktail cupcake.
I'm gonna cut this corner, and I like to do kind of a swirl, so I'm gonna just go around the outer corners. There's my icing, and then I'd love to garnish these with a couple of chocolate covered espresso beans.
Now, I wanna cut up 1 strawberry. You wanna cut it into 4s. We'll create a little fort and add the truffle.
Little bit of toasted coconut so that everybody knows there's a coconut cupcake in there.
And this is my cupcake.
And here is my level 2 cupcake.
And this is my pina colada cupcake.
Remember that the paper's in there, you don't want to eat that.
Oh my God.
Good.
That is
This
so
was a
delicious.
solid choice.
I'm covered in it. It's so delicious. Oh my God, that was so good. The lime zest really brightens up that coconut cake. It's light, it's airy.
The cake is really moist. You get a nice little tiny hint of the espresso in the cake.
The only thing I would do different is put more frosting on it. I would probably put frosting inside of it. Ooh, that would have been good.
We had 3 different chefs make 3 very different cupcakes. Let's start with Steven's batter. He made a shortened cake. Shortened cakes are high in solid fat like butter. The fat coats the gluten proteins, limiting gluten development, and results in a tender cake instead of a chewy bread-like cake. This is why fats are referred to as shortening in baking. Shortened cakes use a basic creaming method, which is the incorporation of air into the batter by mixing crystalline sugar with room temperature butter
It's like cavities are a myth or something.
and adding eggs to make a light and airy mixture.
Boom.
This is an important step if you want a light cake. He added the rest of his ingredients all at once and mixed well. This makes a moist and light cupcake with an even texture and smooth, relatively flat top.
Voila.
Gabrielle's chocolate cupcake batter had more sugar than flour. We call this a high ratio cake. Dutch processed cocoa is an alkalized cocoa that gives a more mild, chocolatey taste and darker color. She used liquid oil instead of butter and a hot cup of coffee to make a uniformly thin batter.
Mix it up a little bit. Woo. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit messy in a kitchen.
These cupcakes have a high rise, rounded top, and a moist crumb. Like Steven, Penny made a shortened cake, but added many more layers of ingredients and flavors to give a fruity, tropical spin to her cupcakes. She weighed her ingredients and sifted her dry ingredients, which gives consistency to this recipe. Baking the cupcakes includes expansion, setting, and browning of the batter. Steven baked his cupcakes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, which can cause excessive browning and a bump to form on top of the cupcake from quick release of steam from the batter.
So I will take this cupcake because it is a little bit more beautiful than the other ones, no offense.
The browning is from the caramelization and Maillard reactions from the sugar in the hot oven. Gabrielle and Penny baked their cupcakes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a more typical temperature, allowing the batter to expand, set, and crisp on top without the excessive browning that can occur at higher temperatures. We have 3 very different frostings. All 3 of our chefs made a version of buttercream, which is a light, smooth, and fluffy mixture of sugar and fat, sometimes including whipped egg whites. Buttercream should be sweet, but not overly cloying, rich and buttery, but not greasy. Steven blended cream cheese and butter with powdered sugar for a simple frosting. The cream cheese cuts the extreme sweetness of this frosting and mixes easily with the butter. There's enough liquid in the butter and the cream cheese that he only needed a tablespoon of vanilla to make this smooth and quick version of frosting.
I love making buttercream because it's just so light and fluffy and sweet.
Gabrielle made an American-style buttercream, which is an uncooked mixture of butter and sugar. She flavored her buttercream with cocoa powder and instant espresso grounds to help her cut the sweetness of this frosting. Penny's frosting is complex because it's cooked and has additional flavoring components. She made an Italian buttercream flavored with rum and roasted caramelized pineapple.
I'd say add it to taste. I love that rum.
Italian buttercream is a meringue-style frosting based on foamed egg whites cooked with hot sugar syrup. Softened butter is added and the final product is very smooth, silky, and it's so light it's hard to believe there's so much butter in it. Steven topped his plain cupcakes with store-bought chocolate truffles and strawberries, which are nestled nicely in his rather stiff cream cheese frosting. This added color and visual appeal to his tasty but otherwise monochrome cupcakes. Gabrielle added chocolate-covered espresso beans, which, while simple, give you a hint that there's coffee and chocolate in the cupcake. They also provide a nice crunch to complement the espresso powder in the frosting. Penny's cupcakes have a tropical theme running through each step, from the coconut and lime in the batter, dulce de leche filling, and topping of pineapple powder. The pineapple is freeze-dried so that the flavor is extremely concentrated. The powder hits your taste buds and quickly dissolves into a sweet and slightly tangy hint of pineapple. And its pretty yellow color reminds me of the tropical sunshine.
I really feel like I'm sitting on the beach right now in the tropics enjoying a pina colada.
These cupcakes are sweet, rich, tender, and full of flavor. Next time you're making cupcakes, we hope you'll consider these tips on ingredients, mixing, and baking to make your cupcakes a real treat.